Alright, hello everybody and welcome to another edition of B&B Sports Talk. Today what I have for you is a my top 5 NFL players of all time. I already made a top 5 NBA, which I gotta say, it was easier. And if you haven't seen that, go see it. Me and Darren both did that. I wanted to get him for this, but I couldn't get a hold of him. So, I'll be going 5 through 1, and this is a lot harder, like I said. I mean, there's so many different ways you can go with it, but I looked up some stats and records and whatnot, and I think I've come up with a pretty good list. So, 5, I've got Lawrence Taylor. And he's probably the one on this list that I know the least about, but I know that he was unblockable, and I know that he was just a monster on defense. He had, in his career, he had 1,088 tackles, 132.5 sacks, and he's in the top 10 all-time in sacks. So, and I know most people include him in the top 5 or 6 or 7, so I thought I'd put him up there. 4, I've got Walter Payton. No, sorry. I had Walter Payton. 4, I've got Barry Sanders. I switched those two around because I was actually surprised by, or maybe not surprised, but I found out some information, and the reason I moved Sanders, well, I'll just go over him. He had 15,269 rush yards for his career, which is up there among the leaders. And this really kind of stands out to me. 5 yards per carry for his career, 5-yard average. That just sounds like a lot to me. You go 10 yards for a first down, and every time, for his average, he got half that on each play, so that's pretty darn good. He has 109 touchdowns. Third leading rusher of all time, and he has 5 1,500-yard seasons. That is very impressive because that shows, for one thing, consistency. And he's also, of course, in the 2,000-yard group. And if you want to put Sanders at 3 and Payton at 4, I would, it's kind of a toss-up, but the reason I settled on Walter Payton at 3 is because he seems to kind of have done, like, Barry Sanders doesn't seem to have done anything that Payton didn't do, if that makes sense. So, Walter Payton's got more career yards. He's got, actually, one more career touchdown. He has 110. He has 16,726 yards. So, they're very similar, but still, his numbers are better. He has a 4.4-yard average per carry. Which is, about a half a yard below Sanders. So that's still pretty good. And one thing that I found kind of interesting is he has the record for consecutive regular season starts by a running back. And that just shows to me consistency. It shows that he wasn't having too many problems with injuries, and a durable player. Again, these are all obviously before my time, but I can just gather from what I've learned over the years, and Sanders, though, he's definitely the most elusive player ever, I would think, and he's probably my favorite. Not my favorite player ever, but my favorite player to watch, maybe, because he just made people look silly. And I also know that he retired, at the top of his game, and so he would have definitely passed Walter Payton, and so, but I just think, and here's the biggest thing, Payton has a Super Bowl, and Sanders, as you probably know, does not. If he did, then I would probably put him up at maybe even number 2, but and I know me and Darren we've sort of had discussions, individual greatness versus, he thinks championships are kind of obsolete in determining great players, and I think they're the most important thing but in basketball. In football, I think he's got more of a point, because it's such a team sport. I don't care who you are. If you don't have if you're a receiver, if you don't have a quarterback to throw you the ball, you're not going to have any numbers. So it's more of a team sport, and I think, it's less reliant upon one individual to win you a Super Bowl, whereas in basketball, maybe one guy can kind of elevate a whole franchise to a championship or two, and but that's really what did it for me, though, and on this, is he has a championship and Sanders doesn't. Other than that, I would just kind of put those as a toss-up. Now, okay, moving on. Number 2, Jerry Rice. Some people have him, or some lists have him number 1, and I don't think you can put him number 1, just because, Montana is just the best to me. But Rice, it is hard to argue with his numbers. He has 1,549 receptions, 22,895 receiving yards, and he's the all-time leader in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. So, that's just, that right there is really all I need to know. What I hear people always talking about is just his commitment to excellence, and he didn't take plays off. He didn't do any of that, and he really had 2 Hall of Fame careers, one with Montana, one with Steve Young, and so I have a lot of respect for him. I think he's easily the best wide receiver ever. I've heard some people say someone else, but yeah. So I've got Rice at number 2. Number 1, Joe Montana, because in the end, winning is very important to me, how, we're able to win Super Bowls, we're able to deliver when it was needed from you, in the biggest moments, and I don't think anybody did it better than Joe Montana. He 273 touchdowns for his career, over 40,000 yards, 40,551 to be exact, 4 Super Bowls, and 3 Super Bowl MVPs. So, I'm sure Jerry Rice won one of those. I'm not too sure. But, I think, you know, again, that the numbers sort of, and he was just so clutch, and he could move the ball, down the field when they went in the biggest moments, and I got him at the top. Easily the best quarterback of all time. I want to put Tom Brady on here, maybe at 5, but I think he's still. He's when all is said and done, I think Tom Brady could be the best player ever. But and Brady, he does have 3 Super Bowls, but he could easily have 5, and he probably should have 5. And if he did, I would definitely have him on here. But in the end, it's did you get it done? And he just didn't get it done against the Giants in those 2 Super Bowls. Could have thrown a few balls better. The Giants probably got a little bit lucky, but still, Montana, I don't think ever lost a Super Bowl. And that's the difference between Brady. I think what sets him apart from a guy like Brady or maybe Dan Marino, who didn't even win a Super Bowl at all, or Peyton Manning, who's probably the best regular season player maybe ever. He doesn't cash in his high playoff or his high seeds in the regular season, so I can't put him up there. He's up there for sure, top 10, Peyton Manning, but, so again, Lawrence Taylor, Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, Jerry Rice, and Joe Montana are my top 5 NFL players ever. So, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you on the next video. Have a good day.